Hello there. It's Mary Ng. I just wanted to make a short film called Did Gregory McKelvey Strangle His Minor Ex-Girlfriend when he was no longer a minor? Evidently, he was arrested when he was 18 for stalking, harassing, and intimidating his purported ex-girlfriend, who was then a minor, and entrapping her in a room and making her feel unsafe to leave and strangling her. And I don't know what the outcome of that case was, but the arrest record is on file, and various people circulated that information seeking answers about whether or not he was a threat to women. Did he really strangle her? What is his current position on strangulation? And when it came out that the new Portland police chief had strangled his stepson, a lot of strangulation victims and concerned people spoke out about strangulation as a very severe and dangerous, life-threatening crime. And I think it is imperative of the activist community to hold activists to a high standard of ethics. And I posed the question online after people were discussing it more kind of behind the scenes, and I felt like, okay, well, what happened? And evidently, just like with what's his name, Hartnecker, the sort of what happened approach causes people to freeze up. And he could have said, oh, it was a false allegation. He could have said, oh, the charges were dropped. He could have said, oh, it was a misunderstanding. I don't know what his story is, but by just blocking me on Twitter or blocking anyone who wants to discuss it or find out about whether or not he's a threat, I think it's quite questionable, because character is a huge part of working in the law, and I'm sure, plenty of ex-offenders can get law degrees and be wonderful lawyers, but his other charges appear to be giving alcohol to minors. And I know he's a rich kid. I know he's really good looking. I know he's really skinny and looks good in clothes. And I understand he has like 11,000 followers on Twitter. But his criminal record history is out there. And furthermore, his association with Ryan, Speaker Ryan, is also out there. And I found his blog that was sort of his conservative undergraduate thoughts blog or essay blog, and it was really interesting to read about issues of perceived racial profiling or how he had to deal with police in his life. And his biopic had a picture of him and Speaker Ryan, which maybe he just forgot that he put that on the blogosphere. I do that. But I circulated the picture, and I'm like, oh, what's up with this? This guy's claiming to be the resistance, and here he is in front of a Mitt Romney plane in 2012 schmoozing with Paul Ryan, of all horrendous anti-women people, who's just like completely obsessed with abortion. So I think what might have happened is that either he just wanted any kind of job he could get, or in government, so that's cool to schmooze with Republicans. Either that, or he's just like a former Republican that suddenly decides he should be like the leader of the Trump resistance. And I think in certain ways he may be falsely billing himself as this radical, when in reality he's some kind of former Republican who's just migrated to the left, which in a way, it's kind of a cool story. It's interesting that it happened so quickly. I know in 2012 I wouldn't be schmoozing with Paul Ryan. That's disgusting. I would be embarrassed. And he's younger than me. He's like a 23-year-old kid. I'm 39. And I'm asking, did you strangle a woman? And he blocks me on Twitter. And then a few people are still into like kissing up to him. But I noticed ever since he blocked me on Twitter, he's a little more inactive in certain ways. Like he's not showing up to lots of events, which I'm really proud of anybody that can go to law school. But I think overall there was some other stuff coming up about his mom as a lawyer representing medical rape, like where hospitals rape patients and she represents the hospital. And I asked a few questions about that, so it's ethically concerning. Well, it's a tricky game, right? But it's kind of nice to keep the moral high ground sometimes. And I think the best thing for him to do from just like a person to person standpoint is actually spill the beans. I always believe in disclosure because the more people can express the truth about where they've been, the more they can help others learn to forgive themselves. And if indeed he did strangle his ex, if he goes ahead and admits it or says it's a mistake, it's a heat of passion thing, like there's got tremendous amounts of excuses. Men get away with this stuff all the time. So it just kind of bothers me that he's just being evasive. I think it's a normal human reaction though, and I don't negate that he might still have something to offer the world, you know? It's not like I'm that judgmental of a person. We're all human, we all make mistakes. But running from your mistakes when other people have legitimate safety concerns is concerning. But I think I had been repulsed by his narcissism and his sort of self-appointed, I am the leader of this great resistance. But evidently he's a March 20 Aries, which Aries always want to rule the world, right? So I don't know. I don't know about Gregory McKelvey. He never did anything to me. I told him I liked his coat. That's like the only time I talked to him. I said, "Am I allowed to tell you I like your coat?" And I didn't really know anything about him other than he's pretty stylish. But if his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend's out there, I want to say I'm very sorry about his ego issues and by minimizing suffering that you've experienced. And furthermore, his new partner girl, Pretty Kitty or Cat Stevens or something, she's a domestic violence counselor, and it's kind of disturbing that she's kind of a cover-up for his potential abuse, and nobody's giving us any information about whether, I don't know, whether, like, what's up with that? But I think that's like in England there was an issue where the Child Protective Services had sort of taken up for covering for the pedophiles. So watch out for nonprofits purporting to protect women because they might actually be covering up for perpetrators, people. So peace out. I'd expect some answers. You can always email me at maryang1@gmail. I actually like communicating with him. I think he really got the point about anti-retaliation clause of the settlement agreement. We connected on that. That was like our main connection online because I felt like he was being retaliated against. And I hope he doesn't perceive my line of inquiry about his past criminal record to be a form of retaliation. I think it's just history and we should know who we associate with. And I'm sorry if it feels hurtful to him. But strangulation feels hurtful to women.